let's talk about the safeties. Breakout safety. And this one, I have this guy down here. He is going to switch to nickel, but I have to put him out here because I think he's going to be a very, very good football player for Texas this year. And I think it's going to be a name that breaks out in most of college football. No, and I think it's Jelani McDonald. I think Jelani McDonald is just a special football player. He's got special instincts. He's got special athleticism. And I've been very impressed ever since he started playing. This is a guy that came in as an athlete. We didn't really know where we were going to use him. And when he got on the field, he just started making plays on the defensive side of the ball. So I have high expectations for him. 6'2", 205 pounds, played in 14 games last year, 33 tackles, 1 interception, 1 tackle for loss. And this is a guy that got on the field as a safety, guys, when you have Andrew Makuba, when you have Michael Tapp, when you have Derrick Williams. Even when Derrick Williams was healthy, this guy was getting run at the safety position. And I think it's a brilliant move to slide him into nickel if you need him. You can also push him back out to safety. I think he's kind of, the Jahdae Barron of this Texas team. You can use him a little bit of everywhere this year. And I think he's going to be a really good football player for Texas.
Yeah, and he's like you talked about it already. Like, he is one of those guys that Steve Sarkisian and Pete Kwiatkowski that has a multiple skill set, right? When he came out of high school, the reason why he was an athlete was because we didn't know if he was going to grow into a linebacker, a wide receiver, or a defensive back, right? And he's kind of not vacillated or kind of stayed between in that tweener linebacker defensive back spot, which is perfect for what Texas has and wants at that nickelback position. So I think there's an opportunity there. Going to be big in run support. Again, I keep hitting on this point. He's a thumper. I love a thumper at a defensive back. I absolutely love a guy. I mean, we saw Andrew Makuba made a name for himself by being a thumper at that safety position. He's part of the reason why Georgia has quarterback woes, right? Because Andrew Makuba came in and thumped a couple of folks. And that's what Jelani McDonald, I think one of the things that folks, when you talk about breakout players, it's generally players that fans really get excited about. And at a defensive back position, nothing gets a fan more excited than a guy who comes in and just mops up somebody. And I think that's going to be what fans get most excited about for Jelani McDonald. He's just going to be a destroyer at that nickel spot. And it's going to be fun to watch.
No, 100%. Who is your guy for the safety position?
This one was weird because he was a starter and then he got injured. But I think Derrick Williams is a guy who I think fans forget about pretty quickly just because of what Texas had this year at safety. They had Andrew Makuba, they had Michael Taff, and Derrick Williams got hurt, I think 5 or 6 games into the season. And so he hasn't really been that guy. And he was a guy who, honestly, when he came to campus, I thought he was a 3 and done for Texas. And I think he's probably not going to be that. Obviously, if he has a year where he's, the best safety in the country, then he maybe comes out this year. But he came in as a freshman, played really well, got in a rotation. That was a heavy rotational room, was slated to be a heavy rotation guy this year and then got hurt. And he's a guy who I think he's going to be competing for the comeback player of the year, right? He has got a hunger, he's got a fire, and he's just a really good football player, right? He's a very gifted athlete. Can he trust the lower body is the question for a guy coming back from that kind of injury. Can he trust it? Can he pivot? Can he put the level of impact that he needs to on his lower body to make the plays? But if he is what he was before he got injured, Texas fans are going to fall in love with this kid all over again.
No, 100%. I'm a big fan. I think he's been the best or most well-rounded safety since he stepped foot on campus for Texas. Again, kind of like Jamie French. There's nothing I look at Derrick Williams and needs to improve. He's good in pass coverage. He's good in run support. Super physical at both. I really like Derrick Williams. I'm hoping the ACL is okay, and I think it is. I think that tells you a lot of, hey, Jelani, you're going to slide in down to nickelback because if they really needed someone back there at safety, they didn't believe he was going to be healthy, they would have kept him back there at safety for the spring and fall camp. They obviously either believe in Xavier Filsaime, Derrick Williams, or both, a combination of both. So I think both those guys you're going to see play a lot and play well. Obviously, we know we got Michael Tapp back there. He'll be fine. And it's crazy to me how we've gone from, hey, you have Jelani McDonald. Hey, you have Xavier Filsaime. Hey, you have Derrick Williams. Hey, you have Michael Tapp. A couple years ago, guys, remember, we were running Keaton Crawford back there, and we were super, super unathletic, and that led to Michael Penix having one of the best college football games I've ever seen because guess what? We had no athletes in the secondary. That is not the case anymore. We have athletes galore back there in the secondary. That includes Derrick Williams. I'm really excited to see if he gets back from injury okay, and hopefully he does. I think he's going to be a really special player, and like you said, if he has a really good year, he'll be off to the NFL. I do expect, though, it probably takes some time, and we'll have him probably for another 2 years on the 40 acres.
Yeah, and again, coming back from a knee injury, I was telling my friend, like, if you an ACL injury was effectively a career ender when I was in high school, and now a guy can come back in 6-8 months, which is wild to me. Just says how old I am. But yeah, he's a guy who, again, if he can come back and he can trust the knee and he can play as explosively and as aggressively as he did before, he's going to be a dude for Texas in a room where I think Texas already has a bunch of dudes.
No, 100%. I think the secondary room is pretty stacked. You could argue it's probably one of the 3 most stacked on the roster. I think, honestly, if we're looking at it, it's probably offensive line, secondary, and then and then the edge room. Like, if you just want to break that off separately from the interior, the edge room is stacked. But those are breakout players for each position group, other than quarterback, because guess what? We have Arch Manning. That's who's going to break out. We don't need to make a video. I mean, we could make a video, but we're not going to do that yet. We'll make another video about him some other time. I feel like he gets talked about a little bit too much, but it is what it is.